guys, it's your girl Courtney. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how I make my lamb chops. Here I have 6 lamb shoulder chops that I clean very thoroughly, and my other ingredients I'm going to be using today are some fresh thyme and rosemary sprigs. I have 1 medium onion chopped up very small, along with about 6 garlic cloves. I also have some butter and some Worcestershire sauce, some low sodium soy sauce. My seasonings today, I'm going to be using some Italian seasoning, some garlic powder, Morton seasoning salt, onion powder, salt, adobo, black pepper, and some light brown sugar, along with some olive oil. Okay guys, so first things first, I'm going to go ahead and start seasoning my lamb chops very heavily with my seasonings. As I've mentioned in previous videos, the seasonings that don't have any salt, like onion powder, garlic powder, things like that, I like to kind of go heavy on because, you know, you can't really use too much onion powder or garlic powder because it's no sodium in it. So just use as much as you want. So I'm going to just season my chops up very generously with all of my seasonings. And I will be right back after I'm done seasoning up these chops. Alright, lastly, I'm just going to go ahead and do a light sprinkle of salt because some of the seasoning, like adobo and the seasoning salt, did have that in there already. And lastly, I'm going to go ahead and splash some of my Worcestershire sauce onto my lamb chops, along with some of my soy sauce as well, before I start mixing everything up together. Alright, and next I'm just going to go ahead and take my hand and massage all the lamb chops so that the sauce and the seasonings get nice and evenly coated on both sides and on every single piece before we move on. Alrighty, so now that that is nice and seasoned up, we are ready to start cooking. Today I'm going to be using my copper pot, which has already been preheating on the stove. And now that my pot's nice and hot, I'm going to go ahead and add in some olive oil, and I'm going to start placing my lamb chops right into my pan. I do have 6 of these lamb chops. Normally I do not overcrowd the pan, and I would cook this in batches, or not this specifically, but it's something else I would cook in batches. But my lamb chops are going to be cooked mainly in the oven. I'm really just using the stove to brown them on both sides. So I'm going to go ahead and put all 6 of those chops right into the same pan, along with some other ingredients, just so that I can get them brown. And like I said, we're going to finish these in the oven anyway, so I really wasn't too concerned about my pan being overcrowded. Alright, now that all my chops are in my pan and they've been cooking for about 5 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and start adding in some of my other ingredients. First, I'm going to go ahead and toss in my garlic, and then I'm going to add a few sprigs of thyme and rosemary as well. And then lastly, I'm going to go ahead and toss in my onions right on top of that. And I'm going to let all of this cook together in my pan for about 10 minutes. As you're sauteing it, you're going to notice that lamb really starts to release the juices, as you can probably see starting to collect at the bottom of my pot. And the onions start to get a little bit translucent and cook down, and your garlic will start to soften up. I'm really just cooking this so that both of the sides of my lamb chops can get nice and brown. And like I said, we're going to be finishing this in the oven anyway, so if you have to overcrowd the pot like I did, it's okay. It's really going to get its color and most of its cook time in the oven. So like I said, cook this in the pot for about 10 minutes, just flipping it on both sides to make sure everything gets nice and brown. And after that, I'm going to start transferring it over to a foil pan so that we can start making our sauce to go on top of the lamb, and the lamb can finish itself in the oven. Alright, now that my lamb is nice and brown, I'm going to go ahead and grab my foil pan, and I'm going to start transferring my lamb right over into that pan. As you can see, all those beautiful juices have collected at the bottom of our pot. We are going to use this to make a nice sauce for our lamb chops, and it's going to taste beautifully. So next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and grab my Worcestershire sauce. I'm going to add a nice generous amount of that, about 8 shakes or so, into my pot, and I'm going to do the same with my soy sauce as well. Just go ahead and give that a couple of squeezes right into the pot. And then next, I'm going to grab some brown sugar. I would say I added probably about 2 tablespoons or so of brown sugar. This is going to give that lamb that really like nice color. It's going to make it nice and glazed and caramelize some of the skin, and it just adds a very beautiful sweet note to that sauce that we're making. So you have those savory herbs and just a little bit of sweetness, and then we're going to add that butter just to seal it all up. I'm telling you guys, this lamb is going to change your life. So I'm adding about 4 tablespoons of my butter right into the pot too, and then I'm gonna just start mixing this around just to get my butter melted and to get that brown sugar melted down up into the sauce. And once your butter is nice and melted, that's how you know it's ready to be poured on top of those lamb chops. Alright, my sauce is ready, my butter is melted, and I am going to go ahead and take my pot, and I'm going to pour that beautiful sauce that we made all over that lamb. Try and get some coated on every single piece. And as you can see, my oven has already been preheating on 350. I am going to take my lamb. First, I'm going to try and baste it a little bit. So that sauce that's collecting at the bottom, I just like to go the extra mile, grab my spoon and just kind of, baste it, covers every piece with some extra sauce. And then I'm going to place the entire pan in the oven at 350, and I'm going to let this cook for about 35 minutes. This is going to darken the skin, it's going to caramelize it, everything's going to be beautifully cooked together, and it's going to make that lamb super tender. So like I said, 35 minutes, and once you take it out, you guys, this is what it's going to look like. You see how that skin has those nice caramelized pieces? It's that beautiful sauce at the bottom that we made. And when I tell you this was the most tender lamb, you cut into it, it's like butter, and it's going to melt in your mouth, I promise you. And it tastes good, so that's always a plus too. And at the very end, I'm going to grab a little dish, and I'm just going to take some of those larger stems out. You are going to have some thyme and some rosemary in the sauce, that's fine, but like those large sticks and stems, I just kind of like to take those out and discard those at the end. And this is the plated up version, you guys. I went ahead and made some garlic roasted mashed potatoes and some string beans to go with it. And I really hope you guys enjoyed this recipe and give it a try. Let me know what you think down in the comments. And as always, give this a thumbs up, and I will see you next time, you guys. Bye. Thank you for watching.